allows, sorry. So whether Krishna allows that, facilitates that desire, or whether Krishna doesn't facilitate that desire, means facilitate meaning the devotee has certain desire to serve Krishna in different ways. And Krishna being the devotee being very dear to Krishna, Krishna is always, he always wants to fulfill the desire of his pure devotee. But in truth, the devotee doesn't have an expectation meaning he doesn't demand something from the Supreme Lord. Because he considers himself, I'm just your unalloyed servant. I'm just ready to do whatever you want to do. And Krishna, you may embrace me or you may reject me. You may make me broken-hearted by not being present before me, even though I yearn to be in your presence. But still, you are my worshipable Lord. Nobody else is my worshipable Lord. Nobody else is that love that I carry, the pure devotee thing, the pure devotee is the love I carry for you in my heart. That is meant for nobody else except you. And it is irrespective of how you behave towards me. So it's a difficult thing to understand. This word unconditional love is very difficult to understand. And Krishna doesn't really, see, he doesn't, until a devotee comes to the platform of full surrender, Krishna doesn't really, he doesn't take full charge of the devotee until the devotee fully surrenders. But to come to that platform of surrender, it's not easy. It's not easy because how? We are not used to it. We expect so many things from the Lord, and we are stuck in our material desires. Krishna is telling, give up everything. Sarva dharman parityaja, give up everything. All kinds of duties. See, duties are categorized into two ways. One is is the duties that are given to us by Shastra. But another thing that could be taken as duties is that things that are very dear to us. I have a duty to my family. I have a duty to my friends. I have a duty over here. I have a duty over there. I have this kind of obligation to the forefathers, to the demigods, and this and that. Krishna says, give up everything. Give everything up. And accept me alone. Mamekam. So, is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying that we don't have to accept Krishna alone, we can accept anybody and everybody and still we'll get Krishna prema? No, that's not what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying. But what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does is, through the process of, he comes to teach the process of surrender. What is that teaching the process of surrender? Until actually one surrenders to Krishna, one does not experience the nectar of Krishna consciousness. And the nectar of Krishna consciousness is the only thing that will help us really detach ourselves from material life. Because we have material desires. We have what is called as Adi Rasa. Adi Rasa means ultimately that boils all down to lust of material things. So we have this taste of getting pleasure from sense gratification. This pleasure can be overcome when one experiences the pleasure of having our senses engage in fulfilling, in satisfying the senses of Krishna. But how will you satisfy the senses of Krishna if you don't surrender? Because how can you love a person without surrendering? See, this is how inconceivable. In one sense, it's kind of like, okay, you can't experience the pleasure of Krishna consciousness without surrendering. But then for surrender itself, to get fully convinced about surrender, you need that taste of Krishna consciousness. You need that, because without that taste, our minds are still attracted to sense gratification. So what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does, he gives that taste. He gives that taste of Krishna Prema. He gives, it's a very minuscule drop that he gives, but that minuscule drop of Krishna Prema is enough to inundate us, is enough to flood our heart with spiritual desire that can make us forget everything about this material world. But how do you do that? How does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teach? From here, we go to the aspect that Krishna expects. He expects surrender. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doesn't expect. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants. There is a difference between want and expect. Want means, here, expectation means before, if you do not fulfill this expectation, then what happens? Then a particular reciprocal relationship is not going to be there. That's what Prabhupada is stating, that, see, Krishna expects. He also expects something, surrender. Krishna is ready to take full charge, to take full responsibility, but he expects surrender. This is called reciprocal. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is merciful. What does he do? He comes out. He starts the process. He starts the process of reciprocation with us, even though we are so unqualified. Even though actually we don't desire that. We don't know anything. What do we know about Krishna? What do we know about Lord Chaitanya? What do we know about Krishna Prema? We don't know anything. Even when we, even for most cases, even when we are approaching spirituality or Krishna consciousness, in many times, in many cases, it's to attain some relief, respite from some material misery, or being a little tired. Krishna congratulates all four kinds of people who approach him in Bhagavad Gita. But we do not come to Krishna the way Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is stating in the 8th verse of Shikshashtakam. Our heart is not purified in that way. And what does that mean? That means we'll come to Krishna consciousness, we'll practice Krishna consciousness, but unless this Krishna consciousness is something that we can take to without having to give up so many things that are so dear to us in our heart, then we will start practicing Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, forget it. I have to give up everything. I'm not going to practice Krishna consciousness. This is unfortunately, this is our mentality. Now, what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does is he gives us the process of Krishna consciousness, whereby we are able to purify ourselves even in our materially contaminated state. The difference between other forms of Vaidhi Bhakti and what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give is that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, within the process of the rules and regulations of Krishna consciousness, introduces one very important aspect. And that one important aspect is where he has locked in the love of God, Krishna Prema. He has locked it in that one particular process, which is supreme in Kali Yuga. That is called Sankirtan. We do follow, for instance, in Vaidhi Bhakti, we are recommended that we should rise early in the morning. This is part of Vaidhi Bhakti. The rules and regulations you have to follow. Apart from that, no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. We should stay clean. Rupa Goswami writes so many rules and regulations. And these rules and regulations are part of bhakti in general. It's not Rupa Goswami didn't invent them. They are there. It is found in the process of Vaidhi. But what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced is Sankirtan. That this Sankirtan takes a central role, and all these other rules and regulations are meant to assist that Sankirtan, the performance of that Sankirtan. And why Sankirtan? Golokera Premadan Harinam Sankirtan. So this, the love of God that is found in Goloka, the Krishna Prema that is enjoyed between Krishna and his associates in Vrindavan, in Goloka, this has descended into this material world in the form of the holy name. What is that holy name? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So in this holy name, the pure love of God, which is our soul, which all of us, this is our innermost, it is the greatest desire we have in our heart. We don't realize it. What is our greatest desire? The soul's greatest desire is to engage, is to dedicate, is to completely surrender itself at the lotus feet of Krishna. This is what the soul is created for. Each and every one of us, we have so many talents. In this material world, everybody flaunts their talents and acts as if the talents belong to them. Nothing belongs to us. These talents have been given to us. These talents have been given to us. And so many people are there, so many talented people. In the course of something, online, there's a video of two young Chinese girls who are, skipping, and they skip together with one skipping rope. So they're right next to each other, in front and in back, and they go in different, different formations. And constantly the skipping rope is, they're rotating the skipping rope, and they don't trip even once. So it all looks amazing. So many people are doing so many amazing things. All these Olympic gold medalists, etc., they are all doing so many amazing things. But in the material world, all these amazing things are done simply for the sense gratification of the conditioned soul. But if you look at actually the spiritual personalities in the spiritual world, you take any pure devotee of the Supreme Lord. Now, you take all the associates of Lord Chaitanya. Or in the end of this month, we have Ram Navami coming up. You take Hanuman. What a talented personality. So talented. Arjuna is very extremely talented person. Bhima, extremely talented. These are all devotees with extraordinary qualities. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, R. Srila Prabhupada. R. Srila Prabhupada was expert in everything. His kirtan is amazing. The way he cooked, his lectures. He was an expert manager. He knew how to bargain well. He was a fighter. He was a dedicated servant of his spiritual master. And above all, he is a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord. He was aristocratic. So many things. Srila Prabhupada, so many qualities. But pure devotees, they are endowed with such qualities. In the gopis, they are so endowed, such experts. They're expert in music, they're expert in art, they're expert in dance, their beauty is unparalleled. They offer it all to Krishna. All of that is given to Krishna. In the material world, the conditioned living entity, he is selfish. So he does not know how to offer his talents to Krishna. And he's not inclined to do also, because he thinks, oh, what is this Krishna? Who is Lord Nityananda? What can he do for me? In this way, foolish. He drinks poison. Knowingly, he drinks poison. So, Lord Chaitanya, he is merciful by the process of Sankirtan, by making Sankirtan as the central principle of devotional service. He evokes that spontaneous love within our heart. All the while we are following the regulative principles of devotional service, he makes that devotional service tasty and joyful. But how can you make it tasty and joyful? See, that is where we have to understand what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants from us. What does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu want? So, this is from purport to Canto 1, Chapter 7, text 13 to 14. The transcendental topics of the activities of Lord Krishna in the Srimad Bhagavatam begin from the end of the battle of Kurukshetra, where the Lord himself spoke about himself in the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, both Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are transcendental topics of Lord Krishna. The Gita is Krishna Katha, or topics of Krishna, because it is spoken by the Lord. And the Bhagavatam is also Krishna Katha, because it is spoken about the Lord. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted everyone to be informed of both Krishna Kathas by his order. Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya is Krishna himself in the garb of a devotee of Krishna. Therefore, the versions of both Lord Krishna and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are identical. Lord Chaitanya desired that all who are born in India seriously understand such Krishna Kathas, and then after full realization, preach the transcendental message to everyone in all parts of the world. That will bring about the desired peace and prosperity of the stricken world. So, this is the point, that this process of Sankirtan means Samyak Karoti, Samyak Kirtan, I'm forgetting, Samyak Kirtan, Samyak Kirtan is known as Sankirtan. I'm missing something here, maybe a little bit. But the point is, Sankirtan is that Kirtan which is done together. It is done together. But that together, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes it to another. He gives the meaning of what he means by together. He means the whole world. He means every single living entity, in every town, in every village. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire. Now, when we condition living entities engage in the process of Krishna consciousness, so we are also chanting Hare Krishna. We chant Hare Krishna every day. We read Srimad Bhagavatam, we read Bhagavad Gita, we associate with the devotees. But in our lives, we have to, in some way, shape, or form, we must engage in directly or indirectly helping others become Krishna conscious. In all parts of the world. In all parts of the world. Here, then we have to understand that this verse, of course, this is coming. Bharata bhumite hoile manusya janmajar janma sartha kari karo para upakar. That, those who are born in the land of India, those who are born in Bharata Varsha, also Prabhupada has also given a meaning where Bharata Varsha, he says the whole world. But in general, most of the time, Srila Prabhupada referred to as India. Janma sartha karo para upakar. What is para upakar? Prabhupada is stating here, to preach the transcendental message to everyone in all parts of the world. So that means that Indians need to be more fired up than anybody else to spread Krishna consciousness to all races, in all places, in all countries, everywhere and anywhere. This is Sankirtan. This is the process of surrender. And so then, continuing this, I'm reading, I have 3 more quotes here. So this is from Bhagavatam Purport 1, Canto 1, Chapter 18, Text 18. Lord Sri Chaitanya revived the original Vedic system, and he elevated Thakur Haridas to the position of Namacharya, or the authority in preaching the glories of the holy name of the Lord. Although His Holiness Srila Haridas Thakur was pleased to appear in a family of Mohammedans. Such is the power of the pure devotees of the Lord. The Ganges water is accepted as pure, and one can become purified after taking a bath in the water of the Ganges. But as far as the great devotees of the Lord are concerned, they can purify a degraded soul even by being seen by the low-born. What to speak of association? Now here's the quote. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to purify the whole atmosphere of the polluted world by sending qualified preachers all over the world, and it remains with the Indians to take up this task scientifically and thus do the best kind of humanitarian work. The mental diseases of the present generation are more acute than bodily diseases. It is quite fit and proper to take up the preaching of Srimad Bhagavatam all over the world without delay. The mental diseases of the present generation are more acute than bodily diseases. This Prabhupada wrote in the first canto. He wrote the first canto when he was in India, before he came to the West. He wrote that before he came to the West. This is all before the mid 1960s, that when Srila Prabhupada established the Krishna consciousness movement in New York. This is all before that. Prabhupada is saying at that time, the mental diseases of the present generation are more acute than bodily diseases. Of course, you can say mental disease as being, just grossly sinful, grossly materialistic. But right now, it's completely crazy. Completely crazy. What are Indians doing? Recently, our devotees were at Comic-Con. And unfortunately, they meet one Indian at this Comic-Con festival. And what is he doing? He's dressed up like a girl. He's dressed up like a fellow came from South India, from Tamil Nadu, and dressed up like a girl. Shame. This is what is going. Instead of solving the mental diseases of the present generation, Indians who are supposed to solve the mental diseases of the present generation, the Indians themselves are becoming subject to such madness. This cannot go on. This cannot go on. It is each and every one of our duty. In fact, we should feel ashamed. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants. He's so merciful. He doesn't expect this. He wants us to do it. Why? Because he loves us. He loves us by engaging in Sankirtan, by consciously thinking. And that can be done in so many ways. So many ways. There's such a need to help and spread Krishna consciousness, and the spreading of Krishna consciousness requires a lot of organized effort. It requires money, it requires capital, it requires dedicated preachers, it requires organization. It requires a lot of things to put together. And we can see in the United States, all these big corporations are run, practically staffed with so many Indians. If all the Indians were to leave, most of these multinational corporations would close down. So, and these corporations, for instance, Apple's gross revenue is higher than the GDP, the gross domestic product of several countries in the world. That's how big of a corporation. There are corporations in the United States who are so huge that they actually are bigger than even, several countries of the world. That's the influence that they carry. It's being driven by Indians. These Indians, they have been blessed by the Supreme Lord being born in Punya Bhumi. But if they were to take that talent and spread Krishna consciousness, by now the whole world would have become Krishna conscious. This is what our acharyas and Lord Chaitanya want us to do. So this another quote. So I have two more quotes. This is from Purport to Bhagavatam 2, Canto 2, Chapter 8, Text 21. The favorable conditions for discharging devotional service are that one should be very enthusiastic in serving the Lord. Okay, we have to be very enthusiastic in serving the Lord. Then Prabhupada clarifies. He says, the Lord in his form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted the cult of devotional service to be to the Lord to be preached all over the world in every nook and corner. And therefore, a pure devotee's duty is to discharge this order as far as possible. Every devotee should be very enthusiastic in not only performing his daily rituals of devotional service, but in trying to preach the cult peacefully by following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya. So the Prabhupada is making it very clear. And devotees should be very enthusiastic in performing his daily rituals. That's there. That most people understand that. Yes, I should be enthusiastic to chant. I should be enthusiastic to associate with the devotees. I should be enthusiastic to see the form of the Supreme Lord, and I should engage in whatever service I can, and that is understandable. But Prabhupada says, but in also trying to preach the cult peacefully by following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya. So this is the prerogative. We should be very interested in this. And last quote, this is from the story of King Puranjana in Canto 4, Chapter 25, Text 52, purport. The words Asuri Nama Paschad Dwaha are significant in another sense. The sunrise is first visible from the eastern side, side, the Bay of Bengal, and it gradually progresses towards the west. It is practically experienced that people in the West are more addicted to sense gratification. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself has certified, Paschimere Loka Sabha Muda Anachar. The more one goes to the western side, the more he will find people disinterested in spiritual life. He will find them behaving against the Vedic standards. Because of this, people living in the West are more addicted to sense gratification. In this Bhagavatam, it is confirmed. Asuri nama paschadvaha. In other words, the population on the western side is interested in an Asuric civilization. That is a materialistic way of life. Lord Chaitanya consequently wanted this Krishna consciousness movement to be preached on the western side of the world so that people addicted to sense gratification may be benefited by his teachings. Now, why are we talking about this? Because when we take up this order, let us try to understand that while Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to preach Krishna consciousness in every nook and village, Srila Prabhupada makes specific reference to the fact that it has to be spread in the Western world to Western people, to people of the Western races. So, why do we need to do that? Because doing so is surrender. By doing this, one experiences the greatest bliss. By just thinking, how can I help? How can I help? What does that mean? That doesn't mean one cannot take care of one's family, continue upon one's daily duties and activities of Krishna consciousness. No, there is a way to do it. There is a way. We all need to assist in this movement. And what the best way to do that is to the fruits of one's labor, because generally one's labor is what one is generally good at doing, because that's why you get your fruits and that's how you maintain yourself. And in today's world, generally the fruits are Lakshmi, money, salary. So one should contribute towards the cause of Krishna consciousness, spreading the movement of Lord Chaitanya. Because as the saying goes, the mind goes where the money goes. So that's one thing. Second thing is, apart from that, we should actively try to distribute these books of Srila Prabhupada. This is Sankirtan. This is Brihad Mridanga. This is the greater Sankirtan. Because Srila Prabhupada's words, they are Krishna Katha, as we read in the first quote. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted everyone to be informed of both Krishna Kathas by his order. So we distribute the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. These are Krishna Katha. This is Kirtan. And this Kirtan is recorded Kirtan of Srila Prabhupada in his books. And they can go to places where our voice cannot reach. And in this way, the whole world becomes purified and people become devotees. So we have to tax our brains. There is so much opportunity. There is so much opportunity. And people are suffering. They are in real need of this. And on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, on the eve, or not the eve, but the week before Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance in this season of Gaura Purnima, this is what we should reflect upon, because this is what makes Gaudiya Vaishnavism, this is what makes the Hare Krishna movement different to the other bona fide Vaishnava Sampradayas. That we don't wait for people to come, we don't wait for them to go through the to go through the cycle of birth and death and advance through the species of life and attain a pious birth, where finally they are somehow in India, and then gradually they come and they come to their senses. Gradually they come to a point where they seek out a devotee of Krishna and start to ask him questions. Nobody seeks out. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu seeks us out. He sought every one of us out. We were saved. We did not, we didn't have a clue. Sometimes we might have been searching, who is God and this and that. But in this age, in this Kali Yuga, that kind of a answer is answered directly by Lord Chaitanya, where he immediately gives us the association of a pure devotee in the form of Srila Prabhupada's books. And the preachers, they don't wait. They don't wait for people to come into the temple. We go there, we go and meet people. We task her, how can we bring them to the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya? How can we introduce them to the process of Sankirtan? How can we help them take up the process of Sankirtan? And by doing this, all our needs, all our desires, everything will be fulfilled. Everything will be fulfilled. Why? Why? Because we are following the process of surrender. And although Krishna, he expects someone to fully surrender before he takes responsibility, Lord Chaitanya, just by seeing the acharyas, just by seeing our efforts, they start to quickly clear all these material desires out of our heart. We make rapid advancement in Krishna consciousness. And the process is simply blissful because others are also being made into devotees. And so by taking up this process, by thinking, how can we assist Lord? How can we assist Srila Prabhupada? How can we serve him? How can we spread this Krishna consciousness all over the world? By doing this, we will attain love of God. We can go back home, back to Godhead in this very lifetime. This is the power of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement. It is not found anywhere else. The demigods do not have access to this. They do not have access. That it is true. It is we conditioned living entities who fell off, who were meat eaters, drunkards, people who were sex mongers, all these kind of people. We have the great benediction of being able to touch Srila Prabhupada's books and give it to somebody else. Indra does not have that. Indra does not have this. They don't have. The demigods don't have. We have. So this is the great, great mercy upon us. We are so fortunate. We are so fortunate. In this way, we can experience Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. And this is what Lord Chaitanya wants of us. He wants us to do this. He's like this loving father who really, really wants us to take up the process of Krishna consciousness. And he's made it very, very simple. He's made it very simple. And we can do it. We can do it. Not we can do it, we must do it. So anyways, thank you. I'll stop here. Thank you very much. So if there are any questions or comments, please feel free to ask.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Beautiful class. And just give me a minute. I already gave the announcements, so we can go straight to the questions now. Devotees, feel free to post your questions in the chat room, raise your hand so we can take the question answers. Prabhuji elaborated with the great emphasis on what Lord Chaitanya wants us, and the emphasis on Prabhupada's books, and he uses the word benediction. The humanity, entire humanity is benedicted to touch Prabhupada's book. So we should not leave this opportunity, and each one hold the one book at least of Prabhupada. So thank you, Prabhuji, and such a nice, energetic explanation of this beautiful Krishna conscious movement. Devotees who has any questions, please feel free to rise up. So while people are thinking about questions, maybe I have a question. Maybe Prabhuji, if you don't mind, can you share your the story of coming to Krishna consciousness?
Well, you kind of read it. You kind of read it at the introduction. That's kind of it. Well, I got a book. So Prabhupada's. So I was searching for Bhagavad Gita, and I wasn't satisfied. I mean, I went to the bookstore, religious bookstore in India, and I found a whole wall full of Bhagavad Gitas, and I didn't know what to buy. And so I was looking for a Bhagavad Gita, and a merciful devotee met brahmachari, met my father on a train from Bangalore to Chennai, and he distributed a Bhagavad Gita to him. My father came, he said, "Oh, you're looking for Bhagavad Gita, here's Bhagavad Gita." And the book said Bhagavad Gita as it is. So I didn't know I was looking for Bhagavad Gita as it is. See, this is Lord Chaitanya's mercy. I don't know what I'm looking for. I don't even know what I want. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the moment he sees, it is inconceivable how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy acts in this age. So I got Bhagavad Gita, as you read in the introduction, in your thing. I got it in 2005, but I couldn't meet devotees until, a couple of years later. And then also, when did I meet them? I met them doing Harinam Sankirtan on the street. So then I met them, and then I started following, practicing, and I became inclined to dedicate my life to Srila Prabhupada's movement. Mostly because I was just so amazed by Prabhupada's books, and just the movement, and how Prabhupada has a solution for every single problem in the world. Every single problem. It's just amazing. Social, economical, political, religious. In every sphere, Srila Prabhupada's books present answer to every problem in life, every problem in human society. And so I wanted to dedicate my life to spread this. So that's how I came to Krishna consciousness. Then I joined, and then, kind of rest is history. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Let me see. Let me see something in the chat room. Maybe Nimai Karuna Prabhu, you want to have a question?
Hare Krishna, madam. Thank you, Prabhu, for the wonderful class. Prabhu, you started with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never expects anything, but he wants. But it happens in this material world, we always expect, like you said about we want Krishna to supply us this and that. And then we know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is most merciful avatar, and then as Gaur Purnima is nearing, so what should be our most intense prayer on this occasion, so that we get out of that habit of expecting every time from Krishna for our material benefits, and never trying to fulfill what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants? So what should be our intense prayer, Prabhu, for that?
See, the intense prayer, the wonderful beauty of Krishna consciousness is that the emphasis is on positive action more than renunciation. Renunciation is required, and one should not be averse to the principle of renunciation, because and that's why we should cultivate knowledge of Krishna consciousness by reading Srila Prabhupada's books. And in this way, we'll understand that we have to give up material desires. We are not averse to the principle. We don't giving up material desires is not practical, Prabhuji. Like that. That shouldn't be there. Now, having accepted that, giving up material desires is not easy. And so we have different expectations. But the emphasis is on positive action. What is that positive action? That is our prayer to Krishna when we chant Hare Krishna every single day. Oh Krishna, oh energy of Krishna, please engage me in your service. And in this age, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has stated how we have to engage in his service. So the prayer that we should be praying is, please engage me in your service. Please let me be of some service. And then, but we have to read Srila Prabhupada's books, because when the service opportunity comes and you don't take it up, then what's the use? You don't know what is service opportunity. At least the knowledge has to be there. So the service opportunity is presented. and then we have to take it up. So we have to have that desire. And when we have that desire, Krishna will definitely, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will definitely make arrangement. Why? Because the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement is meant to engage the conditioned souls in Krishna's service. So we are not some special soul. Sometimes, it's a little, it's actually a little puffed up to say this, but this is how some devotees, Prabhuji, I'm too fallen. I'm too fallen. Rascal, you think you're so fallen that Lord Chaitanya can't save you? This is not true. We are not actually, nobody, Lord Chaitanya's mercy, actually, it is not that we can reject Lord Chaitanya's mercy. But Lord Chaitanya's mercy can transform us. It can uplift us. It can purify us of all these material desires. So when we positively desire to engage in Krishna's service, what happens? Krishna starts giving service opportunities. When these service opportunities come, what happens is the nature of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement is that it's very absorbing. It's very absorbing. You kind of get sucked into Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. What happens when you get sucked into Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement? You get sucked out of your material desire. You get sucked out because there's no room. You're limited jiva, limited capacity. And Krishna floods the living entity with service opportunity to serve him. Then where is the time? Where is the time to... Then what happens? The devotee starts thinking, oh, I want to do this for Krishna. Then he starts... What happens is the devotee, his prayer that, oh, I want this for myself, I want this for myself, is transformed to, I want this to serve Krishna. I want this to, Krishna, please enable us to distribute more books for, please enable us to serve Srila Prabhupada better. Please let us, this town does not, this town we have never gone and done Harinam Sankirtan. So we will go there and do Harinam Sankirtan. Please enable, please enable a facility to do that. Please let the weather be okay. But previously, the weather be okay. If the weather is okay, I'll just go in the park and enjoy. No, now we want the weather to be okay so that we can perform Sankirtan. So in this way, Lord Chaitanya transforms. This is why it is actually, it's Kevala Ananda Kanda, because in one sense, Lord Chaitanya he just takes our nature and engages it in Krishna's service in a very miraculous way. But to do that, we have to be fully willing. And how do we know if we are fully willing? We have to follow the instructions of Guru and Krishna. We have to read Srila Prabhupada's books. We have to follow what's stated in Srila Prabhupada's books. Then we will be able to do it. Otherwise, we will have no knowledge. We'll have no knowledge how to act in Krishna consciousness. So I hope that answers the question.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Jayadipti Mataji, you want to ask your question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Yeah, I don't have question, but I have comment, which you said in starting, like Krishna wants us to surrender. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving us order to preach Krishna conscious.
Yes.
Yeah, that really, yes, very empowered. And main point in Shiksha Ashtakam also you mentioned. Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for the wonderful class.
Hare.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Anybody else? Questions? So, Gaur Purnima is coming on 6th of March. We will have a nice celebration, and Prabhuji already elaborated the most important and what pleases Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Sankirtan. And he, in various ways, he emphasized on this thing that Sankirtan is the main principle, and every other rule is like just the supporting rules of that. So don't get confused with the rules. Keep the Sankirtan at the core of the our service attitude. And I really like the way Prabhuji put the energy in this need for Sankirtan. So appreciate your time, everybody. If there is any other question, then feel free to post it, and we can probably send it to Prabhuji if you have. Prabhuji, seems like there's no other questions right now.
Okay. All right. Thank
So,
you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. So we'll wrap up the session then, and request your permission, and if there's anything mistakes, please forgive us. And I really like Mahotsav Prabhu's energy. He was spending a lot of time here in New York. We had many associations with him. He came to the center as well. And right in front of me, the people whom I could not extend hands to distribute the Bhagavatam, he was able to do that. So that's basically the purity of the heart and the mood of how you spend your time.
It's all Vishnu Chitta Prabhu's mercy.
Yes.
Mahaprabhu Prabhu inspires us all. So
It's humility. But yes, that's why we, I tell everyone in Atlanta that New York made me, Atlanta saved me. So, yeah, New York, New Jersey is home, so.
Yeah. So anytime you come here, we can go together for Sankirtan, and hopefully sometime we visit there, then we can join your party there and get a little mercy.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You love the Walmarts in Atlanta.
Yeah. I really like the Walmart you carry in your truck.
Yeah.
That goes
That's
everywhere.
kind of
The spiritual Walmart.
yeah. That's what it is, yes.
Yeah. So thank you. Haribol.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai.
Yay.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Babu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.